All right, this might be the next day, but I said that I wanted to do part 2 of this, my Army career video. So here we are. I'm gonna start doing that. So yeah, I think I left off. I was talking about my first days of basic training. So this is just a continuation off that, and we'll finish it off today. And I'm gonna try to make more distance today too. I think I got 22 minutes in one way, and then 22 minutes back. That's the pros of having a hour-long lunch. You can actually get outside and make some improvements. So yeah, enough rambling on with that. Let's get into the crux of this. So yeah, when I was going into basic training and on the bus, we had everything, duffel bags, on our lap, and we had other bags, and we weren't getting yelled at yet, but I was warned from my buddy. He kind of was like my fortune teller. He let me know certain things about his basic training, and kind of just let me know that all basic trainings were very similar. He only went in a few months before I did. Different basic training base, but from every story he could tell from AIT, everyone was kind of like the same. So he gave me some insight, and that insight helped me out immensely in my time. So then the drill sergeant comes up, and he starts yelling at us, get the fuck off the bus, get the fuck off, and okay, cool. But nervous young me, again, I was 18 at the time, just freaking out. And then we had to toe the line. We had to get all our personal stuff out. We had to throw it kind of on the, whatever that fucking thing is called, but we had to throw it out there. And then stuff was getting mixed up with other people. It was just a mess. That's the whole point of it. It's just to mess with your mindset. So then we're all towing the line, all going crazy, and then we have to go upstairs, and we find out who our bunkmates are, and it turns absolutely wild pretty quickly. Had to remember to turn around 22 minutes. So yeah, it turns wild quick, and my bunkmate, he was second day, he ends up showing his true colors, so that was pretty quick. But then we start doing more stuff and get used to everything. And then it obviously sucks that first day, but then they ask the question I feel like most basic trainings ask, and my buddy warned me about. He said, does anyone want to leave? Does anyone want to go home? And my buddy warned me, obviously don't raise your hand. So then one guy raises his hand. His name was Doomer. They ended up calling him Dahmer, or Jeffrey Dahmer. So they had some nicknames for him. And then they just made this kid's life miserable to the very end. But he was able to graduate. But man, they went out of their way to make this kid's life terrible. He ended up trying to make an escape plan to go the train tracks and to catch a bus. He made this whole game plan. And he told one of my peers about this. And then he told the drill sergeant, the peer or whatever. So then the day following, the drill sergeant was like, hey, we need to talk. They're like, we made the perfect escape plan. You guys want to hear it? And they said it as escape plan. And they were like, that's a smart choice. If you want to do it, go ahead. We're not going to stop you. That's very smart. Just kind of mocking him. So, rats abound even in the Army. But day 2 rolls around, again, every day's kind of the same. You go to sleep late and you wake up early. It's just trying to mess with you again. So we this is like the second. It was either the second or third day. I was feeling like shit. You know, I think everyone kind of was, as far as like I was feeling real sick and just not in good shape. I just kept on fucking snot running down my nose. I just got real sick. And you know, obviously my mind was messing with me, you know, the first few days, because just sleep deprivation and whatnot. It wasn't that bad, but just like one of those things that messed with you a little bit. So then, my dad actually told me, and this was foreshadowing. Should have fucking ingrained this into my memory. But he said when he was in basic training, he left his locker unlocked one time, and then in doing so, the drill sergeant started going crazy on him, and then forced him to carry his mattress for the rest of the day on his back, and had to carry it wherever he went. And that's all because he left his locker unlocked. So then we're all watching a video or something, that, you know, on the second or third day, and just about like Army Corps values and leadership and different things like that. And they're like, hey, everyone get up, go, you know, to your bunks and toe the line. Everyone's like, all right, whatever. Pretty normal. And I am the 6th person. And so the drill sergeant starts going locker by locker. He goes to the first, second person, and they're right in front of us, but we can't see it because it's blocked by our lockers. Then he goes to the side of us. There's one guy from Maine. He just never took showers, and he never did laundry. And the drill sergeant was like, you know, this locker smells like absolute shit. And he was like, fucking do something about this. He never had to do anything. So then he goes to the 4th person, nothing. He doesn't even say anything. Then he goes to my bunkmate, and he doesn't say anything. And then he goes to my locker and he opens it up, and then his drill sergeant hat is in my locker, like on the top shelf. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was speechless. And the drill sergeant's like, he looks at me, he doesn't say a word, he has his mouth open, he's like, and I'm like, what the and then he starts going in on me, he starts calling the other drill sergeants. They're like, your parents hate you, how dare you steal a drill sergeant hat, you even know what that means? They're like, then they asked my bunkmate, they're like, did he steal the hat? My bunkmate, I thought I was cool with this guy, found out, you know, little weasel. He was like, he must have. And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, what the fuck? And so I'm thinking I sleepwalked. Like I walked in my sleep, stole the hat, put it in my locker, whatever. I was like, something must have happened. I thought this for a long time because I was like, they never told me that I left my locker unlocked until the last day. So then they're like, hey, we have the cops downstairs, or in the like the first floor. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we have your handcuff size, you're going. And when I go downstairs, we all do, I see cop lights and they're flashing, and I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on? And so that's happening. And then I'm doing push-ups. We're all doing push-ups because we're getting punished. And then people are coming, because the drill sergeants are all kind of like preoccupied doing, you know, making up this plan. And then people are coming up to me doing push-ups. Like, just like, it was the strangest thing. They're like doing push-ups and they like pretty much crawl to me. And they're like, fuck you, man. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? Like, they're like, look at what we're doing now. Like, it's all because of you. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, what the? I'm like, my life just flashed, man. It just happened so quick. So then they come and they're like, hey, like, we don't have the pure evidence, you know, it was in your locker, but we don't have the evidence. And they're like, you know, you're free, but they're like, apologize to the drill sergeant about all this. They're like, you're not going to prison today. I apologized to the drill sergeant, and yeah, that was that. And that was like the second or third day, so that pretty much cemented my place. So yeah, just pretty normal basic training, if I have to say so. Typical, like going out on the field, sleeping out there, climbing under, doing the gas chamber, climbing under the barbed wire, sleep deprivation. I sucked at shooting. I don't even know how I made it through basic. That's a big one. I really don't know how I did. I question that all the time, like, because mechanically I'm just not there in my mind. Never good at setting up a tent, never good at shooting. It's never good at a lot of things. Like, it was just always a struggle, like, no matter what. So I struggled quite a bit with all that, and that really just with everything, I couldn't even do about face. Like, my mind just couldn't comprehend a basic function like about face. So to this day, I really don't know how I graduated, or I guess I was always a good runner. I was the third best runner out of about 120 people. And that was only because I, probably worked on it beforehand. I think at the time I got a 12:47 2-mile, which was pretty good for me. And I always got a pretty good PT score. Always about 280, something like that. So always aced my sit-ups and my run, and then my push-ups. I didn't get the max, but I came close. So yeah, that was pretty much basic. I mean, maybe further down the line I'll go more into basic, but I don't really feel the need to, because basic is basic. It's not really anything special. You have to do it when you join. So I don't put too much thought into it now. It's just kind of like everyone does it, kind of goofy. Everyone kind of has a story. But when you're in it, and you think that's going to be forever. But it passes, and then it's just another memory. Nothing much more than that. So then come to AIT. A bunch of my buddies are there with me from basic. We are all in the same unit, so that was really, really cool. And I ended up being real close to them. I don't talk to them anymore, just like everyone. I just don't really feel the need to. People are part of your lives, and then they're not. Hard lesson in life right there. You think everyone's going to be there your whole life, and then life continues, and people go in their own direction. So we're doing AIT. In my drinking store, I brought up that we weren't going to drink, and then my buddies were like, hey man, we got some right here. And then we started drinking all the time. A bunch of times I was hungover, and I would go Burger King. I don't eat any fast food anymore. But back then, fast food and drinking, I mean, they went hand in hand right there. That was like that was a must. So I remember there was one time I would drink so much, and then the next day we went to Burger King, and I got 2 large fries, 2 of those long chicken sandwich, whatever the fuck they were, 2 burgers, and a Hershey pie. That was the most I ever ate at Burger King. But yeah, that was a lot of food. And AIT continued. I always worked out. I always woke up in the morning. Can't say that about all my buddies. They would find ways to sleep longer and skip PT in the morning. And then a bunch of times they were found out, and they would be sneaking in their room, and they'd be under the beds. They went to much more extents just to try to sleep or relax in their rooms. But yeah, I was always A-team as far as the running goes. Always gave my best effort. Still did not have my diet correct. I finally now have my diet correct at 32. That took me a long time to understand that diet is pivotal in health and mental health and everything. So AIT, signal support, worked on radios a lot, did troubleshooting. If you failed, you would have one more try. And if you failed then you would have to go back to a previous class that was doing the same thing. So if there wasn't a class coming for a long time, you would have to wait until that next class to join them. So one kid had to wait like 2 months because he failed twice, and he had to wait 2 months for the next class to join them. So he was there way longer. Some people were holdovers for like a year and a half waiting for airborne. And this was all in Georgia at the signal base there. But AIT was about 4.5 months. And I got out of there and I went to my unit in the Cape. This is actually the furthest I've ever walked since I've walked at work. But yeah, went to the Cape and luckily, I made some friends in my unit. I have one friend who I still talk to, which is rare for me. I only got a few of them. Just one from high school still. One is a family, like childhood friend, and then 2 older guys who are kind of like, older brother figures throughout my life. So my buddy, I call him Scary Brandon. He awesome guy. He showed me the ropes and made sure that I was good all the time, looked out for me. He was one of those guys who was like, I'm the only one who could pick on you. And he was a good guy, but the National Guard's weird because you're in it. You do, I've had full-time stints there for about 6-7 months. You have the 2 weeks in the summer, but overall it's like you're just acting National Guard. Like you're just acting Army, like that's how I felt the whole time. I was just wearing pajamas and just doing goofy ass shit all the time. Like there was a 2-star general. I was so goofy at the time. I fist pumped him, and my sergeant was like, "Don't do anything goofy." And then I did something goofy, and my sergeant was like, "I can't believe this right now." Like that was a 2-star general, the general of the base. So I just didn't care back then. I was a kid. I didn't grow up for a long time, and it was prevalent in what I did in the Guard and reaching only specialist rank. When now I look back at that and I easily could be a much higher rank, and but we'll get into that. So like I said, just two days a month with a break in July. No drill then. Some stints of full time, one time 6 months. But Guard was always the same. Luckily I was able to go home every day. It was pretty lenient with that. And I don't know, I'm so on my Guard career. It's not really something that I remember, or that I remember fondly. I just remember, like always, eating like shit, doing the same thing that I always did, watching porn, and just kind of wasting my life. But some people would say I wasn't, because at least I was in the Guard. And that's not how I felt. So I believe it was 2015. It was 2015, late 2015. This is where I started dating my wife, and started dating my wife at this time at a job that we shared. My wife is my first kiss, my first girlfriend, my first everything. So and she is my everything to this day. We've been together for about 10 years. About 10 years, and we've been married for 8, going on to 9 this year. And she changed me greatly. But in 2015, late 2015, possibly early 2016, my sergeant was like, hey, we need to talk. So then, me and my sergeant start talking, and he's like, I hate to break it to you, but we have 2 options for you. You have to go to one of them, or you have to say yes to one of them. And he's like, you do want to go to Kosovo in 2018, or do you want to go to Kuwait in 2017? He's like, it's one of the two. Either you're gonna deploy with the entire unit, or you're gonna deploy with Charlie Company and go to Kuwait. And that hit me hard, because at the time I had always wanted to go on a deployment. The whole reason I joined was that brotherhood reason, propaganda from Band of Brothers and other wartime movies, where you're gonna find comrades and fight the enemy. So that was my mindset. Again, I was immature. So fast forward, I do end up agreeing with the Kuwait deployment. And with the Kuwait deployment, they say that we're going to deploy in January of that year. So it was at the end of the year, or it was January. Yeah, I think it was January. They let me know, and then January that year, I that was the time. So I had to break it to my girlfriend at the time, my wife, that I was deploying, and she had said to me I would never date someone who was in the Army, or someone who went on deployment. But she liked me in my uniform, and she liked me, and she loved me more than anyone in my life. So she would always stick by me. I knew that. My family always thought that she was just kind of there for the money, or there for ulterior motives. But hence why I don't talk to my family anymore. They're fucking insane. They don't look out for you. They're the family that, just gossipers, tea talkers. So deployment is there in the back of our lives the whole time. And when we first started dating, it was a little rocky, just because it was my first relationship, and I'm bringing in a lot of my baggage, and I don't really know how to navigate a relationship. And I fault myself a lot, just because obviously I could have done better as a boyfriend, but later on as a husband, especially early on, you can always do better as a husband. But it's always there, always kind of like wherever we go, whatever we do, like the clock's ticking, like deployment is coming. It's inevitable. So then, this is about my Army career, so, I'll talk about my relationship. I probably never will, actually. That's not for YouTube. My relationship is mine. It's the most private thing to me, and something that I adore. So people don't need to know about my relationship with my wife. Just know that it is a very good one, and she's the best. So fast forward to September, August, something like that. That's where I get a full-time position with Charlie Company to get training for flight operations, get cross-trained. And that's what I'm going to be doing. That's the open slot. It's like I'm filling a different MOS, so I have to learn that one. And luckily, that was a sweet job. It was a 2-hour drive there and 2-hour drive back home. but I was able to accomplish a lot there. I got paid the best I ever got paid, and I made it work. And it was fruitful for pre-mob going to Texas. So then my wife and I, again, girlfriend at the time, we kept on talking about engagement. We'll wait for after deployment, blah, blah, blah. But we were just so in love that we were like, why are we going to wait? What's the fucking purpose of that? I knew that she was going to stick by me. I had no doubts, as much as people wanted to cloud my judgment and say that she was only there for the money or whatnot. Everyone said that too. I think you get so many Dear Johns that it's normal. But then we decided to get married about 5 days prior to deployment, and best decision I ever made in my life. And then the day comes around for deployment, like going to Texas, because that's what the Guard does, I believe, most of the time. You should do a pre-mob. And then I had to say goodbye to my wife. It was definitely the saddest time of my life, because I wasn't going to see her for a long time. And we just were crying all night, dancing, and just super sad. We didn't get any sleep that night either. It was like 2 hours of sleep. So then her father-in-law drives us to Connecticut, about maybe less than 2 hours, but it was a fair drive. Drops us off, was there with me, and then they saw me go, and I couldn't stop crying because it was the first time I wasn't seeing my wife. We would spend every day together. So then that day was the Super Bowl, Atlanta versus the Patriots, and everyone in the base was like, as the game was going on, they were like, "Fuck the Patriots." And it was pretty funny, just because the Patriots ended up winning, but I could care less, because I was away from home and I was away from my wife, and honestly it just sucked, so I could care less. But it was a pretty crazy like first day there. So the pre-mob happened, and I got to see my wife about 2 months in, and that was one of the happiest moments of my life. Seeing her, she just looked stunning, and we got to spend 4 days together, and it was 4 of the best days of my life. So yeah. So then a little bit after that, my guys from Mass, we were talking, and we had a meeting, and they broke the news that instead of Kuwait the whole time, we were going to Iraq as well. ISIS was making moves, and we had already sent guys from our unit over there. They were only over there for about 2 or 3 months, but they were able to set up the base before they left, and they had to kind of resurrect the base from the ashes, because it was a pretty forward base up north, and they set it up again. A few guys, they didn't make it because of IEDs from the base. The enemy knew that we were coming in. I'm nervous, because I was gonna go to one base that was more forward, closer to Mosul, and then my sergeant took me aside, and this sergeant was the best of the best. He was, he had been on 3 deployments before. He had 6 kids. He had been through this ringer. He had 6 kids. I had no kids. I was a kid myself, still. I was 25 and I was still a kid. But he said, hey, I'm going to go to this base and you go to that base. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, like, he's like, for your first deployment, I don't want you to have to do any of that. He's like, I know what it's going to take. And he's like, you know, I'll set that base up and I'll get it done. So yeah, this guy was the man. To this day, he's just the man. Simple as that. So we go to Kuwait. We're pulling shifts, just like normal shifts. Like, I'd be like 2 days on, day off, 2 days on, day off. I would be going to the gym, just working out. I was able to talk to my wife. I was on the midnight shift, doing medevac, and I was able to talk to her. I got a little, again, whatever you call it, a little puck, and I was able to talk to her every night, and we made that work. Sure, there was bumps. There's always bumps, but we always made it work. So then the fateful day came that I had to go over to Iraq, and we got there, and one of the pilots, this was her first deployment as well, and they came to pick us up after doing a medevac mission. And this was a rude awakening for me, because I was like, Kuwait was pretty easy. You know, I was able to watch movies and go to the theater, and it was just really easy, you know. Not to say it's easy for everyone. And also, you're away from home. So I don't care what anyone says, Kuwait is still a deployment. You're away from home, you're away from your family. You have to be in constant awareness. Things might happen, things might go down. So my hat goes off to all those guys. My hat goes off to all the people who went to Kosovo and even did mobilizations here for natural disasters. Everything is warranted for respect. So the pilot picks us up, and it's like they lost a guy doing medevac, lost a ranger, and she was just tearing up. Later come to find out that was the first person she had seen pass away. She would see many more over the time period. That's why medevac should not be disrespected. They're the people going into high stakes environments and pulling people out. Crazy job. I watched them rappel. I watched them do all it's a crazy job, man. Braver than I could ever do. And it requires a lot of training, a lot of flight hours. Pilots are some of the most serene in circumstances that should not be serene. They are comfortable and they are in charge, and that takes a special kind of person being a Black Hawk medevac pilot or a co-pilot. So yeah, you know, I have stories. You know, luckily I was just I was always in the talk, but I saw my fair share, heard my fair share, and we were reconquering. That sounds wrong. I guess, I don't know, you could look at it different ways as far as our beliefs versus theirs. My opinions changed a lot over time about my time over there. Still kill people, still all that. So as I've matured, I've got to look at it in different lenses, and I take away different things from it now. And it's a pivotal part of my life, just because I went through some struggles, and I went through some struggles in my own mind and what was done over there. But I have respect for the enemy. I have respect for my guys, most of all. You could be brainwashed, you can have propaganda, but you can still have respect for everyone. Even if the enemy wants to kill you, you can still have respect for them. And I don't know how much of everything that we saw was propaganda beforehand and what the news spreads. It's a complicated subject, But every veteran has their own stories, and some people go on 6-7 deployments, and I can't believe that. There's a lot of takeaways from what people can accomplish, and veterans are some of the most welcoming guys, especially when you get to a good VA and that community. They can always help you and make sure that you don't fall down a pit of despair, which can happen often with veterans, especially with some real bad PTSD. I've seen it plenty of times. I went an inpatient myself, and seen some guys that weren't even themselves anymore, suffering from schizophrenia and more. One guy was talking about how bugs came from the moon and were taking over the planet, and he was part of an operation in Afghanistan to stop them. So maybe it's true, but I felt bad for him. Looked like he hadn't got sleep for about 2 weeks. But yeah, deployment is complicated. It was long. I think I spent 9 months altogether overseas, 2 months in Kuwait and 7 months in Iraq. And when I finally came home, it was about a year from when I left, and I reunited with my wife. Then I got back to the unit. I only had about 2 drills left with my contract, and then I had 2 years of kind of like that, kind of reserve. You know, if something went down or if they needed me, they would call me back. Luckily, nothing ever happened from that. They offered me a sergeant rank position for the unit that I came back, because I was much more serious and I had my shit together. And I have my shit together more than ever right now. You know, I don't know what the biggest thing is. Quitting drinking, quitting porn, quitting energy drinks, quitting weed, quitting fast food. All that stuff, man, that amounts to a lot. And that all is from lived experiences and seeing what not to do and what to do, and to be better for my family and to make a family, you know, in the future. And to be better for my wife. You know, I always had issues beforehand, before the Army and everything, and possibly the Army elevated some of the issues, made them worse. But the Army's like what my sergeant said, it's like a bloody mistress. You know, it serves you, but it takes more away from you. Something along those lines. It's been a long time. He said it better than I did. It's probably not even a bloody mistress with her, but he put it in a way that you can get a lot from the Army, but it takes more from you than it gives. And that is very true. But the VA up where I live now is an incredible VA. I have an incredible group surrounding me, a community, and people who will actually help me out without me even asking. They'll reach out to me. So yeah, that is part 2. I thought it was going to be a part 3, but I didn't really want to go too deep into it. But I wanted to get it out there for anyone who may be thinking about joining, or is just a fellow veteran, and I would love to hear what you have to say as well. So I appreciate it, and as always, I'll probably see you later today. All right, bye.